So here I am back out at the range. This is my second trip to the range with the 5-inch 1911 DS Springfield Prodigy. Um, the first trip out here, I had a bunch of issues. Sat around the shop after cleaning the gun and everything, sat around the shop at work and figured out, I think 99% of those problems were all ammo related. I consistently had the problem with ZQI NATO ammo, um, and in checking it at the shop, I had in one box of ammo there was three. So one box out of 50, there was 3 rounds that were out of spec. They were too long. Sitting there with a barrel, you could drop them into the chamber, and they would not go fully into the chamber. Um, so I didn't have that same issue with any other rounds. The only other round that caused any kind of hiccups was some S&B 124 grain. I have a box of that here with me today. I'll be shooting that. I also have some Remington 115 grain and some other miscellaneous 115 grain stuff that I had laying around. I've also got some 124 grain Federal HST. So I'm going to run all that through here today. I will say this, after getting this thing back from the range the first day, the first outing, took it home, took it apart, cleaned it, put it all back together, and it is, at least without running ammo through it yet, is definitely running a lot smoother than it did the first trip to the range. Everything on this gun is operating significantly smoother. There is no hanging up on the disconnector there. Before, if I was really careful, I could get the gun to sort of hang on the disconnector. Now it will no longer do that. So I'm figuring this is actually going to be a much more malfunction-free range trip. So hang tight and we'll see what happens. I did forget to address this also. So a couple things. One of the things that people consistently said in the comments on the first video was that Springfield sprung the gun too light from the factory. They said they used a 9-pound spring on the recoil spring. So with that in mind, I picked up a couple of Wilson Combat springs. One's a 10-pound and one is a 12-pound. So if there are any function issues today, and actually whether there are or not, I'm probably going to try the different springs just to see if they change the way the gun shoots. Some other issues that some people were saying, and some people have checked on their guns and they said their chambers are actually too small. One person suggested that I run a finish reamer through the chamber on my gun, but seeing as the fact that I don't have an issue with my chamber being too small or too tight, I had oversized ammo. I'm hesitant to do that. I don't see a reason to take a brand new $1,500 handgun and mess with the chamber if it's actually in spec. So anyway, we'll see how the ammo shoots today. And again, I'm going to try a couple of different recoil springs in this thing as well to see if they, one, if I have malfunctions, if those solve the problem, and two, just to see what the difference in how the gun functions. All right, so I've got 2 bags here. With 115 grain Remington range. It is FMJ, brass case, good ammo, and let's see what happens. So far, so good. I don't like shooting at nothing, so I'm just going to keep pulling this plate rack up. Plate does not like me. All right, there's 20, perfectly flawless. And again, I have done nothing to this gun other than shoot. I think we did about 230, 240 rounds the first day. Took it home, cleaned it, brought it back out. This is as Springfield shipped it, no modifications, just cleaned and oiled. And it is definitely running smoother than it did the first day. Oh, and you may have noticed this magazine here is a tad longer. Springfield's spare mags are actually out in the field now, out in the on the streets. This is a 26 rounder. The 17s and 20s are also available, and they are all the same price. Retail price on the mags is 20 bucks. I'm sorry, 60 bucks a pop. So compared to other 19 or 2011s, they are a lot cheaper. Let's just hope the availability stays up. So anyway, back to shooting. All right, there's 46 rounds so far, functioning flawlessly. All right, so I got 2 more mags worth here. First mag is a mixed bag of 115 and 124 grain ammo that's in my range ammo can for when I'm just shooting and I don't care what ammo it is. So don't know what's in here. We'll see how it runs. The next mag I have in my back pocket here is 124 grain S&B. So at least I know what's in that mag. We'll see what happens with this random mixed ammo supply. Take your time and aim, moron. Well, that ran smooth. It ran smooth. I didn't necessarily. So let's see what happens with the 124 grain S&B. Let me put this rack back up. So let's see here. So far, so good. And if I don't step on the rope for resetting the plate rack, it works a little better. So there's more ammo going through it. The 124 S&B is running perfectly smooth as well. I've only got 1 box of it with me today, but I'll run all of it to see how it runs. Anyway, for shits and giggles, I think I'm going to throw the 10-pound spring in it and just see what the difference is. It's shooting fine with the 9-pound. The slide is working nice and smooth. I don't see any issues, but I want to see if it shoots any different with a 10-pound spring. All right, let's see here. I'm going to take the ears off for a second. And we'll squat down so you can see me in the camera. All right, so what I've got here is a Wilson Combat 5-inch full-size 10-pound recoil spring. This is the 5-inch Springfield Prodigy, so a full-size spring is the one I need. And I'm just going to swap it out here. So on this guy, it is a 2-piece full-length guide rod. You need to break this loose a little bit. All right, so I can get it by hand now. And then on a 1911, if with a guide rod, what you need to do, let me see if I can get over here to where I can show you on camera. You see these 2 notches in the slide. The furthest one forward is the one that the slide catch locks into when the gun's empty. The next one back is the takedown notch. So I'm going to line that up and start pushing that through. A little hard to do this while I'm holding it, trying to show you on camera how this works. So I'm going to move back around the corner here. For me, I like to just push it through once I get it loose. That comes out. Then your slide and barrel and everything come off. There's the frame. Here's the slide and barrel. The recoil spring and guide rod, like I said earlier, are a 2-piece. At least the guide rod is. So I'm going to hold the back of this in place, and unscrew the front until it's all the way unscrewed from the rear portion. There it goes. You can see the spring just kind of tweaked sideways. That's because the two pieces have now come unscrewed. So the front part, actually the rear, I'm going to let go and bring it out. So there's that. And then the front portion of this is going to pull out its spring. Pull this out. I'm not going to pull the barrel out because I don't need to. I am, however, going to open up this package with the new Wilson Combat 10-pound spring. And just so I don't lose it or get dirt all over everything in my box, my bag, I'm going to put the 9-pound spring in the Wilson Combat package. So, put the 10-pound spring on here, and let me start putting this thing back together. So the spring just comes into here. This is the fun part on this thing. This is the first 1911 I've had that had a 2-piece guide rod. I've had ones with 1 piece before, but so this thing is kind of fun getting it all back together. Got to kind of feed it through, hold it in place, and then there she blows. All right, so it's mostly screwed back together. My barrel is in place. I'm going to slide my slide back on here. Line the hole up for this to drop into. And get it lined up here. And then I need to line up that little notch in the slide back together. It's definitely a tighter spring, a little bit heavier, but not noticeably. So it might not shoot significantly different. Let's find out. Okay, here we are. Just installed the Wilson Combat 10-pound recoil spring, replacing the original Springfield Armory 9-pound. At least I've been told it's a 9-pound. The slide does feel a little bit tighter weight-wise, as far as the spring weight-wise, but I don't notice a significant difference, although it does seem to want to go into battery a little bit smoother. And I don't notice when I'm releasing it forward, I don't notice the disconnector little kind of minor hiccup as much. So we'll see what that does. This is 124 grain S&B, which thus far has been functioning flawlessly. Let me reset my plate rack. All right, so let's see what happens here. Gun seems to cycle maybe a little bit faster, but I don't know. We'll see. I think I like it. Does seem to go just a little bit faster. I don't notice that it's necessarily harder to keep it on target. Granted, it will be easier once Springfield releases the optics plates and I can throw a dot on here, but for right now with iron sights, the plate, except for when I can't hit the target. All right, so that was with 124 S&B. Let me stick this empty back in my pocket. This is 115 grain Remington again. This is Remington range. So let's see how well it does with the 10-pound spring. Let's see here. So far, so good. Actually, I'm just going to shoot it into the back berm here and just see how fast it'll run. Seems to be working fine. All right, I did forget. I have not run the 124 grain. This is Federal HST. Nice big giant hollow point. This is the stuff we used to carry on duty at my department. I've heard or read some comments online that people were having issues with the Prodigy running hollow points, specifically defensive loads, not just some of the cheapy range day hollow points, which some of them are almost barely hollow. So anyway, let's see what this thing does with some federal HST. Throw my ears on here, and let's see what we got. So far, so good. They chambered that. That's a plus. I don't know how many rounds I have in here. I think I threw 16, 17, something like that in it. I just grabbed them. I got a little bucket of these at home. So I just grabbed some out of that. I didn't count. But let's see what we got. Well, how many ever that was, it functioned fine. So I'm going to say 200 round break-in period, and stay away from ZQI ammo because it's running perfectly smooth now. I do like it better with the 10-pound recoil spring in it, so I'm probably going to leave that in it. That said, it ran perfectly fine with the 9-pound that was in it. I just like the way it cycles a little bit faster with the 10-pound spring in it, hence I'm going to leave it in there. I'm not even going to touch the 12, so I got a spare spring laying around. If anybody's looking for a 12-pound spring, hit me up. Anyway, for those who are wondering how much that 10-pound spring was, retail on it's like $7. And you can get them almost anywhere, including where I work, Boise Black Rifle. So anyway, again, break-in period of about 200 rounds. Clean it, lube it. It is a 1911/2011 style action, so it will not run dry like a Glock or any modern plastic fantastics. You do have to run this thing wet, keep it lubed, and it should run. Granted, again, there are some people saying that they have checked their chambers and they are out of spec. That is, I'm not discounting what they are saying. This gun, the only one I have in my hands, the only one I can check, has been functioning absolutely perfectly, other than those specific ammo problems I was having with ammo that is out of spec. So, anyway, enjoy, practice your ABCs, always be carrying.